Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Ask Me Anything with me, Yaasha Sabba at Sky Unlimited Legal Advisory. We're going to answer your estate planning, asset protection, and just legal questions today. And here's the first question that came in for this week. My parents were already in their 80s. They own two houses. They live in one of the homes, and I, the person asking the question, lives in the second home and has been living there for 28 years. I've always paid them rent, and now the home that I live in is paid off. That's awesome. You've helped them pay off that home. My parents' will states that upon their death, all of their assets are to be divided equally between the person asking the question and his sister. My father will now like to get this home that I currently live in out of his name, so Dad wants to get the home out of his name, so it is no longer considered an asset in his estate. He wants me, the questioner, to have the home since I've been in it for 28 years. He would like to put it in my name now. The house is currently in a trust. He and my mother are listed on, so it's a revocable trust. They're both the grantors. Is there a better way to transfer the home to me right now? Quitclaim, gift, sell for less than market value. Thank you. We're in California. Okay, so your parents have two homes. One's their primary residence and one is a rental property that you, their child, has been living in for 28 years. You've been paying them rent and now the home's paid off. That's great. And so now your parents have two fully paid off homes in their estate. They're 80 years old. They're probably thinking they need long-term care planning. And whether they either have a high net worth, which means they have a little bit of tax issues that they've got to deal with, or they have a low net worth, which they are later in their lives. Maybe they don't have a ton of money, but they want to consider maybe qualifying for some government money to help them pay for their long-term care needs. Either way, your dad wants out. He says, yo, I gotta move this home out of my name. I needed to move it into your name. It's right now titled to our trust. I just want to give it to you. Here's the thing. Your dad and mom can gift their home to you. It's as simple as filing a deed. Doesn't matter what kind of deed, just file a deed with the county, transferring it from their trust over to you. That is considered a gift. And when your parents do that, they are required to file a gift tax return form. Basically, they have to tell the IRS how much is that home valued that they're gifting to you? Because then the IRS keeps a lifetime tally of all the gifts your parents make during their lives. And then when they finally pass away, there's something called the estate tax. This is the death tax here in America. It is a tax on your right to transfer your property at the time of your death. Yes, we do have a death tax in this country. Federally, we have a death tax. In California, we don't have this. If you're in another state, some states have one on the state level. Fortunately, all the celebrities and movie stars of California said, oh, no, we're not gonna do this here. But Uncle Sam has a death tax for you. And there's an exemption, a coupon, where at your death, the total value of all your assets, all the life insurance, and then any money you transferred out during the final years of your life, tally that all up. And if it is above a certain amount, that coupon amount, then anything above that amount, you will get taxed at 40%. Fudge, that's a lot. That's huge. But today the exemption is at $11.7 million per person. So for the majority of the country, nobody cares. We don't care about this. If the home is $700,000, if it's $1 million home, even if it's a $3 million home, nobody cares because they can gift up to $11.7 million. So both your parents combined today could gift up to $23 million and not have any issues, roughly. Now, that is a political number. That goes up and down. And in fact, President Biden is about to pass a tax law that might get passed at the end of this year, December, and they're talking about bringing that coupon down to $6 million. Still not a problem for most Americans. This might not be a problem for your parents at all. But if your parents are high net worth or they have a lot of assets, they might need to preserve that coupon as much as possible. And that might be a concern for them. So there's other things that they can do for you, such as they can sell the home to you and you can do kind of like a seller financing where you're promising to pay them back maybe the equivalent of rent for the rest of your life until that home is paid off. Or you do that seller financing and you can refinance the property, get a bank loan to pay your parents So, and then you have a mortgage on the home that you're paying off and building equity on. There's a lot of advantages of that. The one advantage is it won't be a gift. It won't count against your parents' estate tax exemption, that death tax exemption, so to speak. Now, let's say your parents are not high net worth, they're regular middle class folks. Gifting the home to you is not a problem, but keep in mind, if your parents gift the home to you and it's fully paid off, how much did your parents pay for that home to begin with? How long ago did they buy the home? You've been living in the home for 28 years. So that tells me parents have held this home in their name for at least 28 years. I'm pretty much guessing that the home was worth nothing 28 years ago compared to today, especially in California, especially over the last 10 years where our housing prices have gone up well over 30%. So what you have to keep in mind is when you buy an asset, any asset, there's an original cost basis. There's an original amount that you paid for that asset, and that's how much that asset is worth when you first bought it. And if you hold on to it and it goes up in value like a house, then when you sell that asset, then the value, the difference between how much you bought it for and how much you sold it for, that is appreciation. That's a gain. And there's something called capital gains taxes. Now, individually, as couples, when we sell home, there are credits. Married couples have $500,000 credit. Individuals have a $250,000 credit. But what we're talking about is not your dad or mom selling the home to you. We're talking about them gifting it to you. So there was no recognized appreciation or sale or anything on your dad's end. He's just giving you that asset. Here's what happens when someone gifts an asset to you. They are also gifting the original cost basis of your home. So if your dad, let's say the home's worth $1 million today, and let's say your dad bought it for, on average, $300,000. Well, when he transfers that home to you, it's worth $1 million, but he's transferring the original purchase price that he bought it at $300,000 over to you. So what does this mean? If you decide you want to sell the home, you have, let's see, $700,000 gain that you're going to pay capital gains taxes on. You get a credit of $250,000, but then everything above that, the capital gains tax is going up with the new tax laws that are proposed at 25%. That totally sucks. So sometimes, in my opinion, I always say it is never good for parents to transfer their home over to their children as a gift. There's so many tax reasons why it just sucks for everybody. Your parents, they get that hit on their estate tax coupon, and now you have this home with a low cost basis that it has appreciated so much that when you're ready to sell it, you're losing a ton of money out of the value of that home, out of that equity, out of everything you put into it, right? So it is always, always, always better for parents to put their home in a trust like your parents did and have you inherit the home from them. Here's what happens at the time of death. Anytime your parents are holding assets, when they pass away, there is something called the step up in cost basis. What happens is the value of the home, they bought it for $300,000. That's their basis, and it's appreciated to like $1 million. When they pass away, the basis steps up to the fair market value home at the time of death. And when you inherit that home, instead of it being gifted to you out of their trust, you are inheriting it at the value at the time of their death, $1 million. So if you wanted to sell it right then and there, you sell the home tax-free because there was no appreciation. Or you can hold on to it for another 28 years and maybe it goes up another $1 million. You don't lose so much money from capital gains tax because your basis is higher. That is a huge tax savings between parents and children. It is amazing for parents to have their children inherit the home rather than gifting it. Now, I don't know your dad's situation, and this routine's not great for everyone because there might be a reason. Like I said, maybe your dad already has an estate tax issue and he needs to start getting assets out of his estate and do some tax planning because he's high net worth. Or maybe your parents are low income, low net worth, and they need to qualify for some government benefits to help them for their long-term care. And this home is not a liquid asset. It's not cash that they can use to help them, but it is increasing the size of their estate, their net worth, that it's becoming a problem. So maybe gifting is all they can do and everyone just has to bite the bullet. Alternatively, the sale. When you receive the home as a sale, it's an actual transaction. You will get the home at the fair market value of that sale. So that can be huge, but keep in mind, the moment that the home is transferred to you, there's also a property tax equation here that's going to happen. We don't have free transfers between parent and child anymore. And the fact that you've been living in this home and it's not your parents' primary residence, there will be a full reassessment on the value of the home once it transfers to you. And there's kind of no way to avoid that unless you decide you want to swap houses with your parents. Your parents can transfer their primary residence over to you, and you can make that your primary residence, and you get $1 million coupon off the value when it comes to reassessing for property taxes. So as you can see, real estate is so valuable. It is appreciated so much in price now that there's so many variables when it comes time to transferring real estate between family members. And that's stuff we got to talk through. So I've given you so many kind of points of view on what to do with your home. Your parents can gift it to you, they can sell it to you, or they can push it into a trust where the home is held in a trust, and the way the trust is designed, it is considered outside of their estate. But for federal and state law tax issues, we can kind of bend the rules to make that trust conform in a way that is favorable to you and your family, where it might not be an estate tax problem because it's not considered a gift. It might not be there will be a transfer, there will be a little bit of a property tax shift, but depending if you want to swap homes, you can save there. If you don't want to swap homes, maybe parents are down in Southern California, you're up here in the Bay Area, it just doesn't make sense for you guys to swap homes, then that's something financial that you've got to be prepared for. So one thing that I can do is I can talk with your parents and we can see what's the motivation behind dad transferring home over to you. If maybe there's an actual reason, it's not just he thinks it's more efficient, well, I'm just going to give you the home now because let's just take care of this. My suggestion is have dad keep it in his trust and have you inherit the home. It seems like everything's been going great for 28 years. What's changing this now? However, if they do need to do it for some kind of tax planning or government funding planning, then let's at least talk with dad, see what other assets he has. Maybe there's other ways, other things we can do with your parents' estate to make them comfortable and qualify for whatever programs they're trying to qualify for and not have to gift the home over to you. That's kind of where my opinion's at, is I would prefer not to gift the home so you don't have any tax disadvantages now. But if you have to, there are ways where we can mitigate the effect on the taxes on you as much as possible. Now, you mentioned earlier, just one last thing, that your parents' will says everything goes between you and your sister. Well, that's their will. The trust is what the home is in. So the trust governs what happens next when something happens to your parents. And I'm pretty confident the trust says the exact same thing as the will. These are two separate documents. They are not the same thing and they work in different ways. I commend your parents for having a trust and having their estate plan. That's something you should consider doing for yourself. But yeah, reach back out to me, info@skyunlimited.law. I'll be happy to have a deeper conversation about this. And we're probably going to have to get your parents involved since it's their asset, their estate. And if you want to have a roundtable conversation about it, we most certainly can.